Hey everyone, welcome to PintheQ Podcast. We are episode 10 here live in Surf City, New Jersey, which is Ocean County, and we're on the island.
Yeah,
and of course,
welcome.
Of course the heater comes on. It didn't come on the entire time we were setting up or practicing, right?
It's always the way, man.
The minute we go live, it comes on. But you know what? I like that because that kind of sets the tone to the show.
Yeah.
I like it. So I'm here with Chief Wolfschmidt.
Yep.
I nailed it. See, I got it. I wasn't sure, but I got it. Who's currently assistant chief here in Surf City. It's a volunteer company. Awesome accommodations so far. I really enjoy it here. It's cozy.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Chief, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a real honor, and
thank you.
You've had a lot of great guests before. Chris Freeman, Roger Hull.
Yep.
Really, really awesome guys I look up to, and
Great.
It's really cool to be here.
Well, now you're alum.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah.
So Chief, the reason I reached out to you was, I think this is pretty unique. Being on the island and the different challenges you face. So, first and foremost, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a career firefighter in West Hampton Township in Burlington County, New Jersey.
That's your lid right there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And I started there as a per diem back in 2012. I worked there part-time while I was a Ocean County Fire Marshal. I was there full-time for a few years. And, worked a lot of holidays, weekends and stuff. And then eventually a full-time spot opened up.
Nice.
So at the end of 2015, did the testing process and everything. I got picked up full-time.
That's good.
So,
would you say being a per diem ahead of time kind of prepared you for that full-time spot?
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, because it's that also is a very unique place because we do so much there.
Right.
And we're right in the middle of Burlington County, so we have a ton of stuff that we see, we deal with. You know.
Good. So were you always here at the Surf City?
Yeah. So I grew up in Palmyra, New Jersey, till I was about 12 years old.
Okay.
We had a summer house here in Surf City. My dad bought our house here back in 1971, and
wow.
It was a summer house, and we just loved it down here.
Yeah.
And couldn't get enough of it. So in '95, we sold everything in Palmyra. My dad sold his the family plumbing business up there and moved down here full time, and I've been here ever since.
So when he moved down here, did he already have work established here, or did he just take a shot?
Yeah, no, he had some clients that he would do, on the weekends and stuff. A lot of winterization, summerization, all that kind of stuff, small repairs, and he decided he would make it like a semi-retirement kind of thing. And
good.
It's just word of mouth. He doesn't advertise or anything, but just word of mouth. He's just incredibly busy, and I'll give him a hand from time to time, and my other brothers, they help him out.
Family biz.
Yeah.
How old were you when you moved here?
I was 12.
12.
Yeah.
So right around the same time I moved to Ocean County too. It's and coming from up north is definitely a culture shock.
Yes.
Would you say it was the same for you?
Absolutely. Yeah. When I started the grade school here, I didn't fit in. I was different.
Right.
I was not one of the local people here at the time.
Yeah. And when you say local, what comes to mind is, it's different here. It's a different culture to live on the island.
Absolutely.
Correct? Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah.
To be native to the island, and then you coming in from there, you have to kind of make your way, right?
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
not automatically accepted.
Yeah, no.
Right?
Yeah, it's just not the way it kind of works here. There's a lot of families that have been here just like forever.
Right.
I mean, and they have their family houses, family businesses that are passed along. There's a lot of long-time businesses here on the island that are just handed down through the generations.
That's awesome.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, that family history is so, it's priceless.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's funny, even coming here and it was so foggy.
Yeah.
The minute you land off that bridge and you're here, you just have a sense of ease and calm.
Yes.
It's nice here.
Yes, it's very laid back. A lot of the local people are very laid back also, and that's really cool, and I really like that. It's hard for me to leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know a lot of, I have a lot of friends, they want to be career firemen, so they go to Maryland, South Carolina, North Carolina, and get picked up, and that's awesome. They're very happy, And that was a tough thing, you know, trying to be a career firefighter in New Jersey.
Yeah, it's very difficult now.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it took me a very long time to reach my goal.
That's good. Well, I'm glad to hear you got it, brother.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
So, why'd you get into firefighting, though?
So, when we moved down here full time, the local fire chief at the time knew my dad had just, you know, moved down full time. He knew him and knocked on the door and said, "Hey, Scott, we really need guys over at the firehouse. You know, would you join?" And his dad, my grandfather, was a life member and past chief in Palmyra, and my dad had never joined Palmyra because, you know, he was so busy with the plumbing business and you know, family, and, you know, I'm one of 4 kids, you know, so he just he really focused on the business and everything, and didn't get involved really with the fire company, you know, full time.
Which is interesting considering that his father did it.
Yeah. So.
Just skipped a generation.
Yeah, just kind of skipped for a little while,
right.
And because my great grandfather was a Palmyra fireman. He joined in 1943.
Wow.
And, yeah. So you know, my great grandfather and my grandfather went to a lot of fires together, and it's funny because, you know, my dad tells me some stories, and my great grandfather, they called him Pop, and even the guys in the firehouse called him Pop Wolfschmidt. You know, so when I had my daughter,
right.
You know, we kind of said, "Oh, well, what are we going to call, you know, whoever?" And I said, "Oh, we're gonna call Scotty. We're gonna call him Pop."
That's awesome.
You know, after his grandfather.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And my daughter, Winnie, I think he's her favorite person.
Oh, that's cool.
You can tell it's really cool.
That's cool,
They're great together. But you know, yeah. So my dad joined this fire company in Surf City in '95, and you know, he was in his early 40s, and he went to the Ocean County Fire Academy, and that was before there was a physical location established. So they would go firehouse to firehouse.
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and the practical day was here in Surf City.
Yep.
So some of the fathers of the Ocean County Fire Academy, as we know it, was Harry Marty,
mm-hmm.
Chief Emil Tom Suden. Chief Tom Sudan's still active here today.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and you know, talk about him a little bit later. But
good.
Really awesome guy. I really look up to him. You know, great mentor. And yeah, so my dad went to the academy here, and practical day was here in Surf City because of those guys. And they, you know, he got involved, and he would bring me to the firehouse. And I just as soon as I kind of came in, I just got bit by the bug, you know, and just
it happens to all of us, man.
Fell in love with it, you know. I just couldn't get enough.
Was it difficult for you to be when you're not around here? Like if you couldn't be at the firehouse, were you upset?
Pretty much, yeah.
I asked that question because that's how I remember as a kid when I joined as a junior member at age 14.
Yeah.
It surrounded my life. That's all I thought about.
Absolutely.
And it hurt me at school.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah, me too.
I was so focused on what I was doing at the firehouse that it literally consumes you.
Absolutely, and that's how I was as a kid. You know, and you know, I was never really great at school. You know, I didn't really do great at college. You know, I was just more interested in this. And
right.
You know, it's like, you know, Mr. Blutorski, 0.0. You know, not that bad, but you know,
awesome.
It's just it's my life. You know what I mean? This is what I do. You know,
that's great.
And just from an early age, I just fell in love with it, and I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Good for you.
Is to be a career firefighter. And
so you catch some work with your dad?
Yeah, I've been to a lot of fires with my dad. It's really cool. So I joined at age 14 as a junior firefighter.
Yep.
And you know, it was kind of like a weird thing because there really weren't any other guys my age. You know what I mean? So 2 years later, I got a friend of mine who lived 2 blocks from me, Rob Luft. He joined, and we met at the school. We met at the bus stop for school.
Right.
He had some project he made out of Legos, and I loved Legos as a kid. So I'm like,
too.
So
and Lincoln
I'm like,
Logs.
Lincoln Logs, yeah. I said to my wife, I'm like, when can we get Winnie Lincoln Logs? They're like, she's a newborn. I'm like, yeah, but we need them. You know,
she'll swallow them.
Yeah. So, so we got talking about Legos, and
cool.
You know, and we've been really good friends ever since. He was the best man at my wedding.
That's great.
You know. So I had Rob, here for many years, you know, and I grew
still
up here.
Rob's still here?
He's a life member. He's
Okay.
not really active anymore.
Okay.
But good dude, you know, and we went to a lot of fires together, and you know.
You got to pull him back.
Yeah.
Maybe after watching this, we'll get the bug.
Yeah. So.
And your father's still active, correct?
Yeah, he's still active, and my younger brother Andy, he's also a firefighter here. He just made second lieutenant this year, so it's really cool to see him, you know, grow into this. Also, he joined when he was 14, and it's neat to see him go into a leadership role and take him. One of his big projects that he's been working on is our Mac here.
Beautiful.
Thank you. It's I love this truck. This is my favorite fire truck ever. It's a 1956 Mac Model B. We bought this new, $19,000, and this is the second truck we ever owned. Right. And this truck's very unique. I'm kind of into history, you know, and I've never seen another truck just like this, because it's got the solid body where the ladder and the hard sleeves are enclosed, and the way the compartments are laid out. I've never seen another truck like it. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So this your pride?
Yeah, absolutely. So now my brother Andy's really been, he loves it too. So he's really been taking care of it and working on it. And,
how was that for you to see that?
That's so cool.
Yeah,
it's so cool to see him, start as a brand new person
and following your footsteps
and following the family footsteps. It's it's really cool.
It's important.
Yeah, and I really love having that family dynamic here.
Yeah.
Not just like the brotherhood of everyone here, but having that family members.
Yeah, that's great.
That's really cool. That's really special to be able to go to a fire and you're in the front seat and dad's driving and the brother's in the back. And
that's great.
It's really cool to go in and see that happen.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And how many are you total in the family here?
So it's the three of us here.
Okay.
And it's like I said, it's a great thing.
That's great. And I noticed that you guys also do EMS.
We do. Yeah. Okay. So we were the first fire company in Ocean County to do fire and EMS.
Okay.
Started in 1990. They split. It was a group that split off from the Barnegat Light First Aid Squad.
Okay.
And they wanted to start their own first aid squad here in town.
Right.
And the town said, "No, it's going to cost us a ton of money. We don't want to do it." So they knocked on the door at the firehouse. They worked things out, and we started doing EMS here.
So I'm assuming that's increased your call volume.
Yeah. And what's kind of weird is we're probably one of the very few places out there that we do more fire calls than we do EMS calls.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually it's a complete
usually
opposite.
It's and it worked total opposite.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's the majority are EMS calls, and that's just how it is.
Well, I think that's good because it doesn't burn out the members. Because EMS is very demanding.
It's very demanding, absolutely, and it's very difficult to have somebody work a BLS ambulance for 25, 30 years. It takes a toll.
It does.
It takes a toll on you.
I did it for many, many years, and all my close friends will tell you, the next time you see me in one, as transporting as a patient, I'm done. I've had my fill, man. I worked in University Hospital in Newark.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Doing city MS, and you want to talk about fantastic people to work with. I mean, just unbelievable amount of knowledge.
Yeah.
And, I have so much respect for them there.
Yeah.
And the time I was there, it was just, you're doing 16, 18 jobs a shift for a 12-hour tour. The minute you walk in there, and we had this big steel building. As soon as you walk in there, it's like, oh, you set up because we got job waiting in the stack. It burns you out. But it was a good experience.
It was, and I had an awesome opportunity. I worked a couple years doing EMS in Galloway Township. And at the time, we ran about 5,000 calls a year.
That's a lot.
And I got some awesome experience there. You know what I mean? And that really helped me, when I went to West Hampton. Yeah. Because we're very busy. We see a lot of stuff, and
do a lot of wrecks out there, right?
We do. We do. We cover New Jersey Turnpike, Route 295, parts of Route 38. So we have a squad company. Okay. And we run a lot of accidents. We do hazmat.
Nice.
We do everything. We do a lot.
Yeah, that's good. Well, listen, when you have a lot to offer like that, that's great, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So the reason we're here is, we're going to talk about some island firefighting.
Yeah.
Some of the challenges you face, right?
Absolutely.
So, first and foremost, how do you operate as a company?
So, our company here, again, it's very unique, is we have a couple different classes of membership. We have firefighters, EMTs, we have some that are both.
Okay.
We have fire police, we have associate members, auxiliary.
So can you join here and just say, look, I just want to be on the bone box. I don't want nothing to do with the fire department.
Correct.
You can, okay.
Yes. Or you can join here and say, hey, I don't want to do either, but I just want to help out with fundraisers or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can.
So you have an associate membership.
Just that.
Okay.
Yeah, they just help out with the support aspect of it.
Right.
We do a ton of fundraisers every year.
What's your biggest one?
Our biggest one, I would say, is our farmers market.
Okay. And when is that usually held?
So that's we do that every Monday.
It's every Monday.
It's every Monday in the summertime.
Okay.
Usually from like end of June to end of August, and we have vendors come in and we sell spaces.
Okay.
That's probably one of our biggest fundraisers, and our mail-in fund drive.
Okay.
We send out letters to the residents and ask for donations.
Right.
We get an annual donation from the borough of Surf City for $25,000 a year.
$25,000.
Yeah.
That's the budget for the entire company.
Yes.
For a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And fire and EMS, and that number hasn't changed since I joined in '98.
So with that $25,000, you're paying for EMS supplies, right?
Yep.
Maintenance on the equipment.
Yep. Turnout gear, air packs.
Now, Chief, because not everyone that watches my show is a firefighter.
Yeah.
What's an average set of gear costing right now?
Over $2,000.
$2,000.
And that's not everything.
Right. That's just the coat,
the coat and the pants,
and the suspenders, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. You know what I mean? A pair of boots is over $300.
Right.
That's a lot. You know, and
it's so
it's tough.
That in itself is a challenge then to maintain a budget of $25,000 and be able to operate on that.
Absolutely. So
so fundraising is very important.
Very, very important to us,
right.
and that's why we need those support people. To help us, and the support of our businesses and our residents, to send in donations. We do pancake breakfast fundraisers.
Okay.
We do a lot here. We do a flea market fundraiser, and so do
you do buckwheat pancakes?
No.
All right, I can't have them then.
Well, the guy who makes the pancake batter, it's me.
Oh, all right.
So since you know a guy now,
I know a guy.
Yeah, you know a guy, so
I'll call ahead.
Yeah.
I'll even buy the flour. So you do the pancake breakfast. You do the farmers market. What else do you do?
We do a Halloween fundraiser. It's like a trunk or treat.
Okay, cool.
We do that. We do a 5K in the spring. The flea markets. We do.
This is all the members, right?
This is all. Yeah.
So I guess this is the time when the associate members really help out.
Yeah, and it's also it's tough for the regular member, because to be able to vote you got to do fundraisers.
Oh, okay.
And all that. So
right.
If you want to vote and be active and everything, you got to do all that stuff too, and that's on top of training.
Right.
That's on top of answering all the calls. Last year we did 570 calls.
It's a lot of calls.
It's a lot of calls for a small town.
That's a lot of calls. You're 1 square mile, right?
Yeah, we're 1 square mile.
Okay. 500 calls is a lot.
Yeah. We almost broke 600. That's our record. Ever.
That's a lot of calls.
Yeah, and like I said, it's mostly fire calls. Believe it or not, I think we did that 570. I think we did I'm trying to remember the numbers. It was 243 EMS calls, so it was mostly fire calls.
Wow.
And we run 24/7 mutual aid with Ship Bottom.
Okay.
We've done that since about 2003, 2004, as I recall. And so we cover from Middle and North Beach, which is Roxy Avenue. We cover Long Beach Township, Surf City. What's that?
The heater shut off.
Finally, yeah. So it'll be a matter of time that will come back on. I'm sure we'll get a fire call. The siren will go off, and all that. So
that's good.
Yeah. So we
adds to the show.
Yeah. Adds a little character.
Yeah.
So we cover from middle of Roxy Avenue, North Beach, all the way down to Kubel's 2 in in Brant Beach.
Okay.
Beach Haven Crest.
So you guys, you cover a pretty big area.
It actually is a pretty big area,
Yeah.
like I said, because it's 24/7 mutual aid, and
that's good.
And we have a really awesome, great working relationship with Ship Bottom Fire Company.
Good.
We train together.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah. So just almost every month we do our drills together.
I noticed on Facebook you guys had posted a picture with them with their ladder. They
Yeah.
were helping you out.
Yeah.
And hey, thanks so much for your help. And it's great to see. We're starting to lose some of that BS that used to happen with
Yes.
borderline bullshit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely.
The minute you put your toe in someone else's town, it was like, So I'm glad to see that starting
to go away.
It is.
And here's the thing: is, it's 2019.
Yeah.
We can't be doing that kind of stuff because, to me, it's tough enough to get volunteers.
Yep.
It's tough enough, and you got to work together.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember, when I started, it was rare you went mutual aid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of fire companies would handle a fire.
Nobody wanted anybody in their sandbox.
Yeah, but they also had the members to do it.
Yep.
Like I said, mentioned Chief Tom Sudin before. He told me that back in the day they had 40 members, and there was a waiting list.
Wow.
And it was kept at 40. And I asked him, well, how come? Why'd you use the number 40? I mean, was it like seats on the space on the truck or whatever? He said, no, we had 40 helmets, we had 40 coats.
Wow.
And that's what we had.
Wow.
And when someone joined, it was because someone had left.
Right.
And their first job was they had to clean the bathrooms, and that was their job until there was someone else new. And if they didn't like it, there's the door.
I love it.
And he
Absolutely love it.
And he said, see, now back then there was only like 30 calls a year.
Right.
And when the whistle blew, it was a fire.
It was fire, right?
You know what I mean? It wasn't like
it weren't
nonsense.
smells and bells.
Yeah, exactly.
So alarms and
So it had a lot of fires on the island, over the years, and that's all gone. You know what I mean? We don't have 40 guys showing up. It is what it is.
It's funny when you say the island, you say it so casually, but everyone else calls it LBI.
Yeah.
But if you're from the island or you're from Manahawkin or Barnegat,
right. Yeah, we don't say LBI. Yeah.
It's called the island.
Yeah.
And I every time I say or was saying the beginning of LBI, like, you don't say it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not allowed to say it anymore.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just a thing here.
That's one of those things.
The island.
The culture.
Yes.
That's one of the culture changes, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
So, being on the island and obviously we're doing fire protection and EMS. What other unique challenges have you faced being on an island, especially with the beach, right?
Yeah.
So you have drownings, boating accidents, missing kids at the beach.
Yeah.
Explain some of that to me.
Yeah, so, it's difficult because, especially being on the island, we on Long Beach Island, we have one bridge,
right.
on and off, one causeway bridge.
Right.
And that's it. So if it's 4th of July weekend and traffic's bumper to bumper and you get a working fire, you get a serious incident.
Right.
Even just trying to get a medic unit over here, because there's one medic unit for all of Southern Ocean County. They have a huge area, and they're
stationed out of Stafford EMS.
Out of Stafford,
right?
yeah,
right.
Yeah, by the hospital.
Right.
So actually, I think right next
by
to right by the substation.
Yep.
Yeah. So and they cover a huge area. So it takes them time to just get a medic unit here.
I didn't know that, bro. I thought you guys had a medic on the island. I had no clue that's where they come from. Wow.
Yeah.
So what are they doing in the summer?
Yeah. So a lot of times we're on our own,
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think is very progressive that like just a couple weeks ago we did was we just got we're one of the first BLS organizations in the state to get albuterol.
Oh, good.
For our ambulances.
You need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just what you just said, you absolutely need it. You're so self-sufficient here. You have to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's one of the things that, to me, being prepared is all about. And that was something I learned as a kid. I'm an Eagle Scout, and Dad is. And that was another, between the Scouts and the fire company, that was my two big things when I was a kid. And, I really learned a lot of awesome stuff through that, and their motto is "Be prepared."
Right.
And it's something that's really stuck with me, and you can see that with a lot of the things that we've done here. And like I said, with the ambulances, we have Narcan, we have EpiPens, the aspirin. We do everything that we can,
right.
you know, because we're it. You know what I mean? And trying to get more resources over here sometimes is impossible. And we learned a hard lesson with Hurricane Sandy. I think everybody was just grossly unprepared. And how can you prepare for something of that magnitude?
You can't.
You
can't. You do the best you can with the best resources you have at the time.
Absolutely. You know, in 2016 we bought our new rescue engine.
Beautiful,
which is
by
here.
the way.
Thank you.
You were showing me
Thank
that
you.
prior to the show, and
Yeah.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you.
And you know what I like about it is the thought that went into putting that together.
Yeah, that was a couple years of everything.
You could tell. You could tell. And you know what was nice for me is when you were showing me the piece, you know, the pride you had in everything you were showing me. Like, you know, I could just tell based on the way you're reacting that it's important to you.
Yeah,
you know, this
absolutely.
isn't just your job. Like,
right.
It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're actually the only rescue company on the island that does vehicle extrication.
Tell me about that. So for the whole island.
Yeah, the whole island.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're it.
So
you know?
if there's a crash in Holgate, you're going to it.
Yeah, we're going.
Wow.
Yeah, Barnegat Light. Yeah, and
So
that's a long stretch.
What is it? 14 miles or something?
18 miles.
18 miles.
18 miles, and then summertime. See the island, and you know we talk about the island culture.
Right.
Is it's vastly different between summer and winter.
Oh.
You know, vastly
I can
different.
imagine.
Yeah.
Well, just the lights
The
change.
traffic lights, yeah. The traffic, yeah. If you're not familiar with it, the traffic lights here are turned off in the wintertime.
Right, they flash.
Yeah, they flash. Yeah. So with the exception of the causeway where you come in by like Ron John's and all
Right.
that they're still on. But yeah, it's you know, so it can take a while to get resources moving to where you need to be. And I think probably like one of the very first things I did when I was chief was I changed our alarm assignments and I changed our initial dispatch because we have that you know limitation of the bridge.
Right.
We got to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
You know, and not everybody feels
have to be progressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, not everybody feels the same way I do. It is what it is. But one of the first things I did was I changed our initial dispatch for structure fires. It used to just be Surf City Ship Bottom. So I changed it so that initial dispatch is ladder from High Point, Stafford's your fast team, and you know fire coordinator, and that's just for the initial dispatch. And you know our second alarm, I changed all of our our second alarm assignment, and I really beefed everything up. And you know it's you have to because you never know. Here's the thing: is we're not staffed. None of the companies in Southern Ocean County are staffed companies. Right. So you never know what you're going to get. I mean, we have days where we can fill 2 trucks. We have days where it's, you know, it's me and Pop. Yeah. You know, and it is what it is. You know.
So you heavily rely on mutual aid from the other companies.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, I think that going back to that good working relationship, you know, we each fire company has its own little niche here.
Explain that to me.
Yeah. So, and this is something that started back in the 80s. Was Surf City took over vehicle extrication. Okay. Cascade. Ship Bottom has they have a quint and a spill response trailer, so like hazmat, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Right. So they kind of hold the fort down until 85 gets
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, they can. You know, so you have a pretty good spill. They can put booms up, you know, all that kind of stuff, and so they have that trailer. They have a deuce and a half. We have a 5-ton for high water. Right. Beach Haven, they have a 5-ton for high water. They have a snorkel. They've got a new ladder on the way. They do water rescue. Okay. So they have jet skis and everything. So. And
that's Beach Haven.
Yeah, it's Beach Haven. Barnegat Light, same thing. They do water rescue. And High Point, they have a 103-foot rear mount straight stick. Yeah. So we kind of have evenly placed stuff. There's no duplication of things on the island.
I like that a lot.
Which really makes sense.
Yeah, so everyone has their own job.
Exactly, you know, and it's a really good thing, and it really saves the taxpayers money at the end of the day.
We're not duplicating services, you know.
Exactly, yeah. You know, you go to some, you know, fire districts, it's, you know, or wherever, it's crazy. Yeah. Oh, well.
You got 6-7 ladders in the same town.
Yeah, you know, or every piece is, you know, has extrication tools, you know, it's, you know, it sometimes it gets a little crazy. Yeah. You know, but like I said, you know, we really rely on each other here. Right. You know.
Well, you know, you mentioned it best before when you said you get a working fire in the summertime. You know, we're your RIT assignment. Right. and I've been in that situation this summer trying to get here.
Yeah.
For working fire, and you know, sometimes we're going right to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And for some of our viewers who aren't familiar with Ocean County, we have you have to be considered a FAST team or a RIT team. We use FAST here in Ocean County, but to be a certified team, you have to meet a minimum criteria. You're inspected by the fire marshal's office, and have a certain amount of training. I think you guys train like twice a month?
Twice a month, yeah. I mean, you're familiar with our company as far as we take that very seriously.
Absolutely, and you've got some real top-notch guys, you know, and girls. So it's, you know, it's really important to me to get that ball rolling, get you guys moving toward here, and there are a lot of times where we have to put you guys to work. You know, so you know, and then you know we got to backfill that.
Right, you backfill with the second RIT. Yeah.
Right.
But I think it's so important, and you mentioned it, especially here on the island. You get a fire, you need to be aggressive.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. You have to, you have to, or else it's going to get away from you.
Yeah, and your exposure rate is unbelievable.
It's crazy here, and the thing with the island is, it used to be mostly kind of blue collar communities, you know, and your average person, you know, it's a little more expensive here, but you could afford a house. You worked hard, you know, like my dad, for example, you know, you worked really hard, you could buy a house here, you know what I mean? But now it's like, you know, the same house that he bought in 1971 for, you know, $25,000, his house is worth like almost $900,000.
Or they're knocking it down and putting up a 3-story, you know, McMansion.
McMansion, yeah, and that's the big problem here is, and then that was part of the reason with that new truck is, our new truck has a 28-foot boom on it. So it's kind of like a rescue engine squirt, kind of, because like in Surf City, you can build up to 35 feet from the crown of the road height-wise, and you can build up to 5 feet on the property line.
Wow.
So you have these 3
there's
stories.
Your exposure.
Yeah. So you got 3-story McMansions that are 10 feet away from each other.
Wow. Yeah.
And you know we have some access problems with oceanfront homes because they are. They're built on little, like, I'll call them like basically like little alleys that go in. So you're not getting a quint in there. You know what I mean? You're not getting a ladder close to it.
Right.
So you're going to have to do, you know, some long distance stretch kind of stuff. And it's tough. If you don't get on a fire quick and be aggressive, and I'd like to think that on the island we're pretty aggressive, and the guys before us were very aggressive. And if you don't get on it quick, you're gonna have to you're gonna lose it. You're gonna lose the exposure. You know, so it's you got to be quick. You got to be good. And you know that's one of my big things that in my life is training. You know what I mean? And it's kind of my outlet.
That was my next question. I was gonna say. You know, I was gonna ask you, bro. How important is training here?
Yeah, so important.
It must be hammered into your members. Like, look, we need to get on this, and we need to get on it
Absolutely.
now.
And I'm our training guy here at Surf City, and I do training at work too.
Okay.
Which works out really great for me because I can develop stuff at work, borrow it, use it here.
Yeah.
I can try something new here first.
It's an amazing resource for your members here. It really is.
Yeah, it's cool. So I really enjoy it. And
good.
The way our company is set up is the position of assistant chief. They run the drills and is in charge of training. So it was a nice transition. I did a couple of years as chief, and I'm a retread.
Yeah.
I'm back as assistant, and our current chief, Kyle Costable, he's really good to work with. You know, anything I want to try, anything I want to do, we work really well together.
Good.
You know, and you know, I really enjoy it. You know what I mean? And it's so important to me, and we'll talk about that later. Why it's important to me, but you know, you know, I really enjoy training, and it's kind of like I said, I didn't really realize it, but till you had the show with Chris Freeman. Yeah. And he said, you know, hey, you know, training's kind of his outlet to, you know, and I never really thought of it that way, you know, but I guess it kind of, you know, it is for me. You know what I mean? I love it. You know, I've been all over the East Coast, you know, going to classes here and there, and, you know, I like to bring that stuff back, and I like to teach others, you know. I like to, you know, share some of my experiences and stuff I've learned from other people, and, you know, listen, I don't know it all. You know what I mean?
None of us do.
None of us do.
And if you say you do,
know,
you don't.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you know, listen, I'm not the greatest, you know, whatever, but I'll show you what I know, and I'll show you what I've learned from other people and how maybe it can help us. And, you know, I like borrowing ideas from other people.
Absolutely.
You know,
and that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
We should be helping each other. I mean, we're all on the same team here.
Absolutely. And, you know, and it's frustrating when you get guys who really aren't on the same team. They, you know, they bash you for, you know, trying to do the right thing and, you know, present, you know, an idea or present, you know, some kind of, you know, some kind of training or whatever you learn from somewhere else, and, you know, you try and share that information. And, you know, it's frustrating. You know,
over the years, I've learned to develop a skill. You know, I just push those toxic people to the side.
Yeah. Yeah, you just gotta ignore them. Yeah,
just ignore them.
Because here's the thing: is that, you know, they're never going to say anything in your face.
No.
You know, it's just how they are. You know, and you know, it's a shame. You know, and you know, sometimes you get beat up for trying to do the right thing.
Yeah,
you
or
know,
having a good idea.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny because, you know, they'll, you know, it's funny, you know, like I said, you know, you try and share information, whatever stuff that you learned, and, you know, a perfect example is RIT. You know, like, you know, you teach RIT, whatever. You know, a lot of it's just stuff we learned from another guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? How many down firemen has the RIT instructor made grabs on?
Mm-hmm.
Well, none. He learned it from somebody else. You know what I mean? So it's a tough thing. You know.
The way I look at training is, training's training. You should take advantage of it, no matter what it is.
Absolutely.
Now, listen, you can get certain training and maybe walk away from it with not a great perspective, but the beauty part about it is you can take another class. You can learn another method that maybe fit you better. You know,
Absolutely.
I love that my last guest, Lieutenant Reedman, had said that, you know, find the style that works for you the best.
Absolutely.
And train on that style.
Yeah.
Stop, you know, trying to go all over the map.
Right.
Figure out what works for you best.
Yeah.
And train on that.
Yeah. And, you know, again, I'll use RIT as an example, is, you know, I was taught, you know, the way I was taught was, and I did my first fast team class was at Navy Lakehurst.
Okay.
That's where the original kind of program was done and everything. And, you know, they would do the you know, the pack conversion, you know, you put the seatbelt through the legs, all the stuff, you know, and that was just, hey, that's what we do, you know. I just went to Firehouse Expo out in Nashville, and I did the RIT Under Fire class, and it was taught by guys from Chicago. Really awesome guys.
Yeah.
And just doing, you know, carrying a firefighter upstairs, downstairs, you know, just all this stuff, they simplified it. And they said,
because if you don't have a technique with that, you know, figure out how much we weigh. Now add 100 pounds of gear.
Right. Yeah.
Now, you have to have a technique.
Exactly. And you know, everyone needs to be on the same page.
Right.
You know, and, you know, like their thing was, we don't convert the pack harness. And I'm like, what do you mean? That's what we were always taught.
Right.
They cinch down the straps, you know, and they just go. And we did it all day, and you know what? It worked really well. And I thought, you know what? I think this works for me. You know what I mean? Again, you got to have the guys have to have their waist straps on. You know what I mean? Tight.
You got not hanging off the sides.
Exactly.
It frustrates the shit out of me every time I see that. You know?
Yeah, because and I think that when you're in the heat of when you're in the heat of the moment, and you got to do that fine motor skill of loosening the straps and going under the thing, trying to rebuckle it.
Right.
When shit's really on fire, I don't know, and someone's down, I don't know if we're going to be able to do that.
No.
But at least tighten the straps, pull, go.
Right.
Simple. Keep it simple.
We're fortunate in my company. Our deputy chief now, Spizak.
Yeah,
Jason Spizak.
Good guy.
He's a good guy. That's his thing. Like when we're doing training, or even someone has their pack on, he's looking. He wants to make sure that your bottom strap is tightened up, and it's good. You got to have people with checks and balances like that.
Yes, you got to have accountability.
Right.
You know, that's really huge. And our chief at work, Chief Farnsworth, really great guy. He's a great boss, and he's big on that.
Good.
You know.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, you have to have that. So you mentioned earlier about the island and the bridge.
Yeah.
One way in.
Yeah.
So, is there a plan in place if you know you have to evacuate people out of here, and how do you do it if that bridge is impassable?
Bridge is impassable. It's kind of a shelter-in-place kind of thing. You know what I mean? If it's
so, I think it's important for the people who are watching the show right now to understand that this is it. It's an island.
It's it. It's an island. There's one way on, one way off. That's it, man.
You definitely have some challenges you face.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and again, like I said, just being progressive, having the training, having the right equipment, and doing the best that we can with what we've got, and just being proactive is so important. And a proactive thing that happened a couple of years ago was Chief Michael, who was on your program.
Yep.
Heidi, she.
How else was she?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's the best.
Yeah. So she approached me and said, "Hey, we got all this construction going on the bridge, and they cover. If you're not familiar with the island, there's 2 islands in between that are part of Stafford Township, coming onto the island,
right.
And that's part of Stafford, and that's their response area. So she changed the dispatch so that Surf City and Ship Bottom are both on the initial dispatch now for fires and accidents and everything, because she recognized that, especially with the bridge construction project that's been going on.
And that bridge construction is still going on.
It's still going on, and it started like 5 years ago.
Holy cow.
It's crazy, but...
Well, they said it should be done in February.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the pictures 10-year challenge. Yeah, it looks the same. So they, I think that was a really progressive thing on her part.
It is
adding us to that,
and that's good, because, and once again, that just shows that we're breaking down those barriers.
Yes, there was not just physical, barriers, but right. I mean, there was a lot of barriers, and what was crazy was, with the exception of like a forest fire,
right.
But when I was chief and when she was chief, we were doing training here at the firehouse one day, and they had a well-involved house fire in Beach Haven West. And I mean, we could see it here from the firehouse, and we're very close. So I called her on the radio and I said, "Hey, Chief, I got 6 guys here at the firehouse. Do you need anything?" She says, "Yes, come." And we pulled up third due behind one of the Stafford's pieces, and we went to work, and I think that was a very progressive thing. And what's crazy is, from what I'm told, that was the first fire we had been to. It's like structure fire Surf City had been to in Stafford Township since the old Causeway fire in the 80s.
Wow. Really?
So I'm told. I mean, that was before my time, but that's a long time.
It could very well be true.
Yeah, and we're very close.
It didn't take long at all.
And in my 20 years here, I don't ever remember going to fires in Stafford. You know what I mean? And we border each other,
Right.
So, and Bill O'Neill's been really great to work with. And again, Jason Spizak,
right.
Really great guys, and they,
we have some really dedicated people.
You do.
Very fortunate.
You really
very
do.
Fortunate.
And they've kind of broken down that barrier.
Good.
And I think that's awesome.
So
we appreciate that.
Which leads me into my next question. I mean, you obviously have to work very closely with all the companies close by, right?
Yeah.
So Ship Bottom is the closest company you work with? But you go as far as what, High Point?
So we'll go up and down the island.
Right.
I mean, as far as mutual aid.
So each company has their own specific job, as you were mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a drowning in Beach Haven, do you guys go as well?
No. So they'll come here because they have the equipment, they have the team and everything.
So you don't just assist with manpower.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
because I wasn't sure how that worked. Because I mean, this is like, and I think it's so important for me to keep emphasizing that this is it.
Yeah.
Right. If that bridge is full.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
No one else is coming.
And it doesn't take
unless
much.
They come by helicopter or by boat.
Yeah, by boat. Yeah. And one of the crazy things here is we don't have a firefighting boat here on the island.
Really?
Yeah.
The whole island?
The whole island.
Really?
One of those things.
How does that happen?
I don't know. It's funding, Yeah. I mean, all these fire companies, they just rely on fundraisers, It's pretty wild.
So how do you get funding outside of fundraising? I mean, is there any grants that you guys apply for?
Yeah, so in 2007 was the last time we got a grant. We got 15 sets of gear. We got a lot of equipment, some radios and stuff. Great. The radios are tough because, they're not provided by the county or anything.
And they're like $7,000 a piece now.
It's crazy. So our radios are a little cheaper. We're on a VHF system.
Okay, good.
And if you're not familiar with Ocean County, we have 7 different radio systems here, and that's just fire.
Right.
I'm not going with EMS too.
Right.
But there's 7 different radio systems, different frequencies, everything. So when there's a working fire,
intercommunications is a huge challenge.
Yeah, it's huge. And the reason we didn't go to the county system, the trunking system, whenever that was, 10, 15 years ago, we didn't go to that because they wouldn't put a tower on the island. and we didn't feel we would have the coverage, and we didn't have the money to do it.
No.
So we built our own system. So when there's a working fire and the RIT comes over,
Right.
We have patches in our in both of our engines. So I have to go in the engine, put the one radio on our fire ground channel,
Right.
put the other one on the county fire ground channel, take them out of scan, push a button. Now I have a patch.
Did everybody just hear that? So that in itself is one of the unique things about the island.
Yeah.
You know, that's a very interesting thing.
Yeah. And
communications is, and you know how important that is. I mean, it's.
And you know who says it best is, one of the guys I really look up to is awesome is Ed Hazelton.
Oh, Biggs.
Biggs. Uncle Biggs says, you know, that's no good. He said, you know, a patch is something you put on a tire.
He is, you know,
and
I'm so glad you brought him up, because you talk about a guy I respect. I respect the hell out of him.
Me too.
He's such a good man.
He was such a great guy to work with when I worked as a fire marshal. I learned so much from him.
Right.
You know, and when I was a fire marshal, I learned so much about fire behavior, building construction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Unbelievable wealth of knowledge.
I know. And the thing about, you know, I remember when he was chief, one of his second or third terms as chief, I had just kind of, you know, gotten out of fire school, and I can just remember listening to him on the radio, and you could have half the town of Stafford burning down, and he sounds just the same, like you and I are having a conversation.
Right.
Well, Bub, you're gonna, you know, lay a line from here, you know, and
you got him down good, man.
Yeah. Oh, Bub. So he, awesome guy, man. I can't say enough.
Biggs is good people, well respected too within fire departments and the culture of fire company. He's definitely he's ingrained.
Yes, and you know, it's funny as you know, and you know, you talk about, you know, mentoring and stuff and emulating, you know, other people.
Right.
Is he doesn't realize it, but you and I, we look up to him, you know, and when there's a fire and I pull up on something, I can't tell you how many people I've heard screaming on the radio, freaking out, and I've done it before.
Do you know that's such a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
That's like one of my things that like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
I've literally, you know, pulled up on a car in half with a body in half the car, another person in the road. I mean, you wouldn't know it by my radio transmission because it's cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah.
Because if I start screaming on the radio, everyone else now behind me is going to be screaming up behind me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone gets excited.
It sets a tone for the entire incident.
You're absolutely right. Even on dispatch, if your dispatcher's amped up, everyone's amped up.
Yeah, and you know, that's something I learned from him. And I've pulled up on something, I've had fire throughout the house, you know, and I stop and I think to myself, how would Bigger say this? And I slow down, think about what I want to say, and then I say it, you know, because and that was hard for me. I had to really train myself to chill out and, you know, not get excited because everybody else is freaking out. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things you kind of learn as you go.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that is something very important that I think gets kind of lost where it's important to maintain that radio etiquette.
Especially when you're and even just being the boss on the fire ground. You know, you gotta be calm, confident. You know, confidence is contagious. That's a saying. You know, and it's so true.
So we talked about some good stuff, and I think we covered a lot about the island. Is there anything else you wanted to mention that I didn't talk about as far as firefighting here on the island?
No, you know, I think we really covered a lot of it. Like I said, you have to be aggressive.
Right.
You have to be aggressive. You got to be on your A game. If you're not, you know, something small can get away from you really quick. You got to have the resources there. And you know, one of the other unique things here is we get most of our fires in the wintertime.
Okay.
You know, even though, and you wouldn't think that. You think you get more fires in the summer when there's a lot of people around. But what happens is a small fire.
No one sees it.
No one sees it.
Yeah. Unless you're lucky enough for a patrolman to be driving by at the time.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So a lot of times when we pull up on something, you got fire throughout most of the house, and it's going to the exposure. You know what I mean? So we're at a disadvantage, and also, you know, we got the sea breeze here. You know, it gets very windy here on the island, and
that wind is a huge factor.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you can very easily burn 3 houses, no problem. You know what I mean? Just send it right around. Again, they're tight together. They're big houses now, and you know, I think that it's so important that, you know, you get a good water supply, and we're very fortunate here in Surf City because Chief Tom Suden, he was the borough superintendent back in the 60s and 70s, So he put a lot of the fire hydrants in town.
91 of them.
91 of them.
And how do I know that?
Because I painted every single one of them for my Eagle Scout project.
Yeah. 91 hydrants.
In a
1 square mile,
Yeah.
91 hydrants, and you painted every one of them
Yeah.
for Eagle Scout.
Yeah, so we were talking about that before.
Yeah,
so,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we...
There's no way I could have the show and not tell that story.
Yeah.
It's just too awesome. That's too great.
Yeah, so... but, I mean, that's a great advantage to us. But the problem is we don't have the infrastructure to support these big houses because... Like, for instance, the main boulevard, the main drag here, up and down the island, in Surf City, it's a 6-inch main, and it was put in 1932. It has not been upgraded since. The biggest main in town is an 8-inch main. And water pressure, we run about like 47 PSI or so. But, pretty much throughout most of the town, which is decent. But,
yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, not bad. But, we got some 4-inch mains in town. We got a lot of 6-inch mains.
So if you have a decent fire, either you're doing a tanker task force or you're drafting.
Or you're drafting. And the thing is, with drafting, you can't draft out of the ocean. That's not an option. We can draft out of the bay. The problem is that depending on where you are in the island, it could be very long way to there. And you can't draft on every street. Like my parents' street, for example, if it's a blowout low tide, it's sand at the end of the street.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? And there's some streets that have little beaches. Have other streets, they've got 4 or 5 feet of water. You don't have a problem. So you got to know the streets too.
I was just gonna say, bro, you need to be very familiar with your area.
Absolutely.
So if you become a fire chief or an officer, you need to know your area well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're pulling up to any hydrant, or if you lose water, you need to know where the hell you're going for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it's tough here because we just. And in certain areas of the island, it's a little worse. Some areas it's a little bit better. But we got a lot of hydrants and it's awesome. But if you got a real major fire, you're going tankers or or laying a line to the bay. And that's again now you got to get all those resources across that one bridge.
Right.
It's tough.
So Chief, I'm gonna hit you with a hard question here.
Okay.
All right. What so far has been the most difficult part of this job for you?
I would say as being chief is just trying to deal with a lot of the personalities and just trying to get things done and getting people involved and wanting to come out and getting the calls answered. With a small group. You know what I mean? We don't have a ton of members. Some of the ones that we do have are top notch. They're great guys, and we work really well together. But not everybody feels the same way I do. Not everyone wants to train. It's funny how, and I think this is everywhere. You know what I mean? But it's funny, like a lot of volunteer fire companies. It's when it's time for the installation dinner and there's an open bar, they all come out of the woodwork. But when it's time to
the drill, the train.
To train.
Right.
It's the same 10 guys. You know what I mean? Or whatever,
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that that's a lot of places. Not just
it's not
City.
it's not just here.
No.
It's not any that's a lot of places. Like I said, training to me is so important, and at a young age, I really wanted to do this. I really wanted to be a career firefighter, and I just had this mindset. I just wanted to be the best that I could be. I wanted to be, the person that someone says, that guy's a good fireman. And the way I kind of knew to do that was to go to a lot of fires. And I was always here. It was very rare I missed a fire. Here on the island, and I was always around. And going to training, and learning from other people, and not, and kind of branching out, and learning different things from, different places all around, like I said, like tri-state area. I've been all over the place trying to learn from other people.
And you mentioned to me earlier that training is important to you because of a certain incident you were involved in, correct?
Yeah, so when I was 19 years old, we got called for a working fire with entrapment on 9th Street here in Surf City. It was December 23rd, 2003. I was pretty fresh out of fire school. Went to fire school when I was 18. I was a senior in high school. So I've been to a couple, had a few fires, since then. But we got called for a working fire with entrapment. It was on the third floor of one of these, very large homes. And the first due engine was a past chief driving, past chief in the officer's seat, who was the captain at the time, and myself and 2 junior members. And that was the crew. And so the 2 juniors, they got out, they hit the hydrant. The one guy, his name's Jose. He's since moved out of town, but his brother joined, so he's Jose B, obviously. So
awesome.
yeah,
I love that.
So anyway, we lay in, and attic, top floor, you got a good working fire, and I stretched the line, made a decision to stretch up the stairwell dry, because we had report of victim trapped. Really wasn't sure where she was. So my thought was get as close to the fire as you can. We'll work our way out from there, trying to find this person. So get up to the top stairs, stretch the line up, charge it, and it instantly just the line goes dead. No water. So our captain, he goes back, he's calling for water. He goes back, starts pulling, chases some kinks and everything. So while I'm there, I start searching, and I see some like white tennis shoes, kind of like in the corner, crawl in the fire. There she is. There's a woman there. I grab her, drag her, and the cat. I said, on the radio, hey, I got a victim. Captain, he came up. He gave me a hand. We brought her outside, handed her off to EMS. We ran back up, kept fighting fire and everything. And so we get the fire pretty well knocked down. We come out. A bunch of mutual aid companies there, got in there and finished it off for us and everything. And I was excited, man. I was like, oh man, we just made a grab. This is what it's all about. This is great. This is.
Not everybody does that.
Yeah, and everyone.
Some people can go their whole career.
They go their whole career and never do that. And I'm 19. So I'm like, oh, this is we just did such a a good thing, and everyone's patting you on the back, and this is awesome. Because I mean that's. I don't want to say awesome, but it's
why we do this,
right? It's why we're here
to help people, save people.
That's what this is all about, right. And not everyone seems to get that. I don't know how they don't get that, but they just don't.
I love the guy from from Hook and Can.
Yeah,
and, They just recently interviewed by Jeremy, and he says customer first.
Yeah, like 100%.
Everything else is great, but customer first. I believe that.
Yeah, me too. And
that's getting lost.
It is, and it's sad because I know like Ray McCormack, he's big on this. Is we're here to save the victims. We're putting the fire service has always been about putting them ahead of us.
Right.
And unfortunately, throughout the nation, there's people who don't want to do that.
Right.
And without getting too crazy into that, I'm big on that, and so anyway, with this fire, we toward the end of the fire, they're like, oh yeah, your lady, she didn't make it, and I'm like crushed.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, what did I do wrong?
And
should I have done this differently? Should I have done that differently?
In the movies, someone they get a grab, right? They bring them outside. The person, is usually fine now. They're breathing out oxygen. They're totally good. Or in backdraft, you bring a mannequin out.
Right. Yeah.
But in your case,
I was doing it up there, Steven.
You don't know. You don't know what I did. What you did was split the team up.
Yeah.
See, me and you were bad with the movie thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting way off track. But what people don't understand is you brought her out, and you went right back to work.
Yeah.
It's not like you didn't have time to sit there and just think about what just happened. You had to go back to work.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure after that, tell me your experience after that.
Yeah. So like I said, I was really young. You know what I mean? And that it bothered me. You know what I mean? And I kept doing that. Oh, did I do this right? Should I have done this faster? If I done this, and a few months later, we get a report back that says, oh, she had a heart attack before the fire. So there was nothing, there was no soot or anything like in her lungs.
In her lungs, right. So she was already dead before the fire.
we didn't know that. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, how would you know that? You know, so. I mean, and that was kind of like a little bit of, I want to say, some closure, I guess, you know what I mean, to it, you know what I mean, which kind of helped, you know. But I mean, at a young age, I'm like, man, this is no BS. Like we got to be good, you know. If we're gonna make a successful grab, everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody's got to be sharp, and everyone's got to be good.
Do you think that incident made you grow up really quick in the fire service?
Probably, yeah, I would say so. You know, and again, I think that kind of what really is what's driven me, you know what I mean, for doing more training and being better and being faster and masking up faster and, you know, just being good.
Right.
You know what I mean, and just knowing your job.
And you also had mentioned to me that, you know, you had an unfortunate experience with a crash you were involved in.
Yeah. So, you know, it's fun. You know, you mentioned about, you know, before when we got started, you know, have you had a few incidents you want to, you know, kind of talk about and everything, you know, and I've had a few, you know, that come to mind that stand out. You know, another one that we had was I worked for Galloway. We had a 12-year-old boy ran out in the street chasing a ball, got hit by a car, cardiac arrest. You know, we worked him for quite a while, and you know, he didn't make it. You know, and one of those things you never forget. You know, we had a guy commit suicide in front of the train, you know, and his body parts are everywhere, you know, and it's stuff that no one should ever have to see and deal with, you know what I mean? And no one prepares you for any of that kind of stuff, you know? I mean, I think that today, 2019, and your show is a awesome example of it, is we're talking about it, you know what I mean? And, you know, I'm not the kind of person who talks about, I don't know, it's just the way I am. You know, I usually don't talk about, you know, a lot of the things, like, unless someone asks, you know what I mean? And, you know, my grandfathers were the same way. They were both in World War II. My dad's dad, he fought in the South Pacific. And my other grandfather was in the Battle of the Bulge, had a Bronze Star.
Wow.
And they would not talk about the war. You know, they were, you know, from what I'm told, you know, kind of really messed up by it, you know, and they just didn't talk about it, and that's just the way it was. And, you know, and I think for some people, you know, I know a guy that I work with, and he, you know, he's probably the best fireman I ever met, you know, and that guy's seen some really bad stuff over the years. And a couple of years ago, he responded to a fire with his volunteer company, report of a rubbish fire in the street. Pulls up, and it's a newborn baby on fire in the middle of the road. The woman had the baby, didn't want it, set it on fire in the middle of the street. Neighbors saw something on fire in the street, so they called 911. And like I said, he's one of the best firemen I think I've ever met, and that says a lot for me to say that. And he's a great EMT. He did everything he could to try and save that kid, and he couldn't, you know. And you know, I never talked to him about it, you know, and he's just one of those guys, he doesn't talk about that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? You know, that's just the way he is. And then some people, they like to talk about it.
That's
some
a
people,
tough one, man.
And that's really tough, you know what I mean? And, you know, we, you know, so, and, you know, a lot of things I think about, you know, it's like, you know, like there's a guy, that guy's got to have, you know, PTSD or
some
whatever,
demons.
you know, you know, I mean, that's tough, man. Like, how do you know, like, and that to me is something that's like, so like, it's like up here and all the stuff I've ever seen, you know, you know what I mean? Like comparison wise, it's, I don't know, it's just kind of different, but, you know, and another incident, that really stands out, comes to mind too, is, at work we got a call for a burn victim. We pull up, and a guy, you know, committed suicide by lighting himself on fire in front of his kids. You know, and you know, that was a really bad call. This dude was really burned up, and he was still conscious when we got to him. And I was on the ambulance that day at work, and you know, we did everything we could with that guy. You know, the neighbor put him out with a dry chem extinguisher. So we got to fly this guy out. So now we got to decon this guy.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's covered in dry chem, he's covered in gasoline,
Right.
got burns. I mean, we had to decon him, you know,
There could be a class just on that one call.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was just a messed up call. I'm trying to put an oral airway in.
Right.
He's got intact gag reflex, can't do that. Try and put a nasal in. His nose is so charred up, I can't put a nasal in. We're trying to bag him. Then he's like yelling at me, you know, that he's sorry. You know, he's like gets in my face, and I'm like, Jesus. It was a lot, you know.
Yeah.
It's just a lot at once.
And
you know?
you know, listen, we're not supposed to see things like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, and this is why I have this show. I think it's important for us to talk about these calls we've been on. I think it's important for us to, you know, especially the new firefighters coming in now. They need to understand that this is serious business. Yeah. You know, it's
not all sunshine and flowers.
It really isn't, you know, and it's not, you know, it's not about kicking back a few beers with the boys.
Right.
I mean, this is serious shit, and it's important for us to talk about these issues so we don't bottle them up.
Right. You know, and I think it's important that you have an outlet. You know what I mean? And you mentioned about, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, it's not okay to have a few beers from time to time, whatever, but you don't want to go down a bad road.
No.
You know, and, you know, I almost went down that road, you know, and, you know, we, you know, I stopped drinking about just over a year ago. You know, I didn't drink every day, you know, and, you know, it was one of those things, but like when I did, man, it was one speed, go. And,
binge drinking, man.
Yeah. Yep. You know,
it's bad news.
Yeah. You know, and it's like, you know, oh man, I had a great time at the party last night. Yes, Frank, the entire town knows you had a great time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yep.
So, you know, it got to a point where I'm like, man, I can't keep doing this. You know what I mean? It just, you know, long story short, you know, but I'm glad that I'm over that, because I've you know, I'll use alcohol as an example because it's so accepted. You know what I mean? Especially
especially so accessible.
It's so accessible.
Yep.
And in the fire service, police, you know, it's just one of those things. Like it's in that culture.
Right.
You know, and like I said, within like anything in moderation.
Right. Of course.
Cool. You know, whatever. But I've just seen it take so many good people away.
It does.
You know, and just they make bad decisions. They hurt others. They hurt themselves.
You saw the numbers, man. They're out of control.
Yeah.
You know, double. We're killing ourselves. We're doubling the amount of deaths on line of duty deaths with suicide. Yeah. I mean, if that's not a wake up call.
Yeah. You know,
what is?
Yeah. I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it's
listen,
crazy.
the way I look at it is, if one person watches this show and hears your story, and maybe was in that place too, and they know they can call for help and they can have someone to talk to sometimes. I think it's just, I think what I'm trying to say is people feel like they have to bottle the shit in, and you said it yourself, man. You just said it, and I don't know if you realize you said it, but you said it. I don't like to talk about these things. I just kind of keep to myself. This is how I deal with it. That's no good, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I think you'll find some solace in talking about these incidents, because it's so important. Yeah. You know, because people need to hear these stories, man.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And
I think what's hard too is that, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, like I said before, a lot of stuff I've seen, you hear stories about other guys who've seen there's guys who've seen way worse, had way worse things happen to them.
But you know what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
See, it doesn't matter, because your incident you may think is not as important as someone else's incident that may seem worse. Yeah. But the reality is, everyone processes things differently.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And it's important that we recognize that. But listen, you know, you have a beautiful daughter. Yeah. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. And she's awesome. She's 15 months old. Winnie, yeah. So
I love the picture you sent me with her her cleaning the engine.
She's here at the firehouse all the time. You know, she's got a better call percentage than some of our members. You know,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I have a certain amount of I have like a bunch of people I can call. Like if we get a fire, we get a call or something, I can call them. Hey, can you meet me over there? You know, and you know they'll watch her for a little bit. You know, because
that's the great thing about the island, right?
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
culture and how close knit you are here.
Absolutely, yeah. Within those locals,
Right.
And it's really cool, Yeah, but she's awesome, man. She's my world, man.
Awesome.
It's cool how, unless you're a parent, you don't quite understand how kids change.
Right.
You know what
I
mean?
my God, yeah.
Yeah.
The minute my first daughter was born, and I looked into her eyes, I'm like, your whole life changes.
Yeah, totally.
And then when my second daughter Angela was born, it was the same thing. It was like the same exact feeling, like, oh my God, like, I never thought I'd have that feeling again, but here I am again.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And you keep me in line.
Yeah, and honestly, really, everything I do is for her, and like I said before with the drinking thing, like I said, I don't think I was really like an alcoholic per se, you know what I mean? But like, like I said,
binge
drinking, man. And what's crazy is, it's like we said, it's accepted. It's like an admirable trait to how much can you party? You know, how hard can you party?
Right.
And that's one of the culture things down here is, this is people's vacation. So a lot of people, when they come down, they're going to unwind. They're going to, and it's just, that's so normal here, and, it can consume you if you're not careful. You know what I mean? It's you gotta have balance. My chief at work always talks about having balance. You know what I mean? And it's so important.
If you had one person that was an inspiration to you from being a firefighter, who would that be?
Ooh,
that's a tough one, right?
Yeah. To pick one person, I would say, probably my dad, or Chief Tom Suden, guys I really look, bigger, guys guys I really look up to, and guys you say, man, I want to be like that guy,
Tell me about this.
So this right here, this is my grandfather's chief's coat. He was fire chief in Palmyra.
And that's the photograph that you brought.
Yeah, the photo right here. That's his 1970s station wagon.
Chief's buggy.
Yeah, Chief's buggy. Yeah. His helmet over there. Yeah. And
so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. And unfortunately, he passed away when I was 4 years old.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So I never really got to really know him.
Right.
He passed away from cancer, and with everything going on today with cancer with the fire service, there's a lot more awareness, and because 15 years ago there's a fire, you didn't wash your gear, you know what I mean? You just didn't,
right.
You hose it off a little bit, and that was it. We didn't really think about that, you know what I mean? So and a lot of times I often wonder, did he get cancer from all the fires he went to back in the day?
Bro, he probably did.
It's hard to say, you know. So, I really try and take care of, and again, we're very progressive at work with that. We were one of the first one of the first companies in our area to do the decon bucket. We clean decon on scene. As soon as you get back from the firehouse, you put your gear in the washer.
Right.
We have a whole system down of this is what we do.
I was impressed with Chief Hall from Beechwood. Episode 1 when they were doing that. He's been doing that
forever. Yeah. Me too. I was like, wow, like I said, it was just one of those things like here, we just didn't do it. We just didn't really know.
So they were ahead of the curve with he was ahead of the curve with that.
Absolutely.
Which is really good.
It was awesome. Yeah. So, and I think, again, I think my grandfather's a big inspiration for, my family is a big inspiration for, because again, at a young age, I was like, man, I really want to be chief someday, and that was like one of my goals, was to go to the top, you know what I mean, and be the chief, like he did, and what was cool was when I was chief, there would be a few fires, and I used to keep this in the chief's car, and I'd wear this from time to time, yeah, it's pretty cool,
That's really great.
Yeah,
and just the fact that you have, excuse me. They had this here, shows that level of pride, you have for your grandfather, and that the fact that you're able to keep this with you, it carries on his tradition, his
it does
legacy.
His legacy, yeah,
that's
great, yeah, absolutely. I think it's history is really important to me, and I think it's really important to honor the guys who came before us.
Absolutely, man.
You know?
I believe so much in history and tradition.
Yeah.
You know, capturing that tradition, you know. The last thing we want to do is forget people.
Forget the people who came before us,
Absolutely.
you know, and built the foundation from where, you know, how we got here today.
100%.
Yeah, that to me is very important.
So, Chief, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was very cool.
I certainly enjoyed meeting you, and I certainly enjoyed the hospitality you gave me here. And
yeah, it was I was pretty nervous at first, you know.
No, you killed it, bro.
Yeah, thank you. It was I felt like Talladega Nights. You know, I don't know what to do with my hands.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Well, it's funny when you first put the headphones on, you're like, well, this is weird.
Yeah.
You like hear your own voices.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just clue you in though. So now that you're an alum, every one of my guests did the same thing. They're like, wait, I can hear myself.
Yeah.
So it takes a little while to get used to.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you came on, and I have some gifts for you.
All right, cool. Thank you.
So anybody who's watched the show now, this is episode 10. They know that all my guests now get a patch,
cool.
a PintheQ patch. So now you're part of that.
Awesome, thank you.
And of course, you need decals
you need stickers.
for the lid.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I got you 3.
Awesome.
Right, so I figured your daughter,
yep,
your career helmet, and then your helmet here.
Awesome,
so
than't you.
I got you hooked up.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I got a little something here for you. There's
Sweet.
one of our company patches.
There it is. So I got another patch to add to the collection.
Yeah.
This is great stuff.
You know? I'll get you a T-shirt too, because you can't have enough T-shirts.
See, I'm getting a T-shirt too. I didn't know that. Thanks so much.
No problem, brother. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
I
reaching
really
out.
Appreciate it, and
it
it was
nice
fun. It was fun to be here and be part of this stuff for the day.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it's an honor. You know, you've had some really awesome guests. I think you're doing some great stuff here. So
thank you. And now you're one of them.
Yeah, that's really cool. I really appreciate that.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks again, bro.
Yeah.
All right, here we are. It's episode 10 here at Surf City Fire Department in Ocean County. Episode 11 is coming at you soon. Make sure you continue to watch, and we appreciate very much being part of the show. Obviously, you're watching YouTube. Please make sure to subscribe so when the new shows come out, you'll get notified first. Instagram and Facebook coming at you soon. Thanks again. God bless. Be safe. Be careful.